So let's look at another one of those Pascals. Can you read me that problem?
5x minus 4y. And then a 4.
The 4. Perfect. Like a person I know. All right, so this we would start with the Pascal's triangle, okay? And we want to start off with the 1, 1, 1, okay? And then we look at the space, and the space determines what the next number is going to be. So we're always going to have the 1 out here, but then this space is going to be a 2. And then we look out here and a 1, 1, right? And then this space tells me it's 3, and this space tells me it's a 3, right? And then I'm going to come out here and go, well, 1, 1, because we're making a pyramid, right? And this is telling me it's a, how much?
4.
4. And this? 3, 3, 6. And 4. Okay? And then I can stop. Why can I stop? And the reason is that this guy's a 4 up here. It's not because of this guy. It's not because of this. It's because the exponent's a 4. And I'm looking along this line right here, and I see that there's a 4 right here. Okay? So that's the level. That's the level of the pyramid that I want. Okay? And so the way my equation is going to look is like this. Okay? And so all we're going to worry about are the x's. Okay? So I'm going to take the x's and the y's, or the variables I should say, the x's and the y's. And this is going to be an x and this is going to be a y. And then in here we're going to have xy, xy, and xy. Okay? So now we're going to kind of organize it down here. So we're going to say that we have 1x plus space 4xy's plus space 6xy's plus space 4xy's. Right? That's not enough space. 4xy's. Right? And then plus space 1y. Okay? And that will really help us set it all up. Okay? But the other thing we need to know, okay? The other thing we need to know is that this guy is a 4, right? So that means we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1 with our x's. Okay? But in the same aspect, we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 1 with our y's. Okay? So it's just a pattern that we're following. That this 4 up here is telling me that this is going to be 4 and this is going to be 4. And then we're going to move down the ladder from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1 and 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Okay? Now, that's a lot, but we're still not done. Because now we want to look at the x's. The x's have a 5 tied to them, right? There's a 5 tied to this x. So everywhere you see an x, you're going to write a 5. So there's an x here, so I'm going to put a 5. There's an x here, so I'm going to put a 5. There's an x here, right? So this x goes to there, this x goes to here, this x goes to here, and I'll put a 5. And this x goes to right here, and I'll put a 5. Okay? There's no x here, so I'm not going to put a 5. Does that make sense? But with those 5s, because they're tied to the x, right? We're going to tie this to it. Everything that's on the x. So the x has a 4 on it, right? So we're going to put a 4 on this 5. This x has a 3. So we're going to put a 3 on the 5. Okay, so 5 to the 3rd power. This x has a 2. So we're going to put a 2 on the 5. And this x has a 1. So we're going to put a 1 on the 5. Okay? And so now we have our 5s all set up. Okay? So it should go 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? Just like the x's do. Does that make sense? Okay? And then we're going to grab another color, I guess pink. And we're going to go, okay, well this is a -4. The -4 is attached to that y, right? So everywhere there's a y, we're going to put a -4. Okay? If there's a y, we're going to put a -4. If there is a y, we're going to put a -4. If there is a y, we're going to put a -4. Okay? So on every one of those steps, we put a -4. However, because it's attached to the y, it has to be doing exactly what the y is doing. Okay? So if this y has a 4, then this 4 has a 4. If this y has a 3, then this 4 has a 3. If this y has a 2, then this 4 has a 2. If this y has a 1, this 4 has a 1. Does that make sense? And now these are pretty big numbers, right? So I'm going to use my calculator. Okay? I'm going to grab a new color. And I'm just going to start using the calculator on this. So I'm going to say, hey, 5 caret 4, meaning 5 to the 4th power, it equals, and that's 625. Okay? X to the 4th. Now I'm going to look at these numbers and I'm going to go, oh, this negative is to the 1st power, so I'm just going to say, okay, that's negative. I know what that is. That's negative. Okay? And then I'm going to do 5 to the 3rd, which is 125, right? Times 4 times 4, or times 16, right? I can do some of the math in my head. I might not be able to do all of it. I know it's 2,000, but that's because I did it before, right? So that's not fair. So I would say, you know, you could put in 5 cubed, hit equals, then go times 4, hit equals, and you get 2,000. Okay? Now I didn't put in the -4, but I know it's negative. So I know it's negative 2,000. And that's x to the 3rd, y1. Now with this negative, it's squared. So that means that it's a positive. Okay? Okay. And then I do the 5 squared and the 4 squared. Well, I know 5 squared is 25. And we all should know that, right? So I'm going to do 25 times 16 times 6. And I'll hit equals. And I got 2,400 x squared y squared. And I move to the next one. And I know that this one is cubed, so I know that that's a minus. Because if we take a negative and we cube it, negative times a negative is a positive, times a negative is a negative, right? So I know that this is negative. And now I worry about, well, this is 4 to the 3rd, but it's really 4 to the 4th, to the 4th, right? Because there's 4 to the 3rd times 4 again. right? Which would mean 4 to the 4th. So I could do 4 to the 4th power hit equals, which is 256, and then say times 5. Or you could do 4 to the 3rd times 4 times 5. It's up to you. Okay? But still it is 1280 xy cubed. Okay? And then you do the last one. We know that it's 256, but we'll try it again. We'll go 4 to the 4th equals 256. I know that negative becomes positive, so it's 256 y to the 4th. And just like with perfect people, when you square two negatives, you become positive. Okay? All right? So, that's your answer. Of it.